Hello everybody and welcome to the last assignment. It's assignment 4 and it's called mazerunner. We're gonna create a bit bigger bash script, and to our help we have all the tools that we have learned and worked our way throughout this course. On top of that we have an Express server. Oh, it's a Node.js server. It's not really an Express. But we're gonna create a script that uses the server. We're gonna create a so-called client for the game mazerunner. And if you look at the first part here, you can see how it is supposed to look when it's finished, or how it can look when it's finished. You can create it in your own way. But if you get stuck and you wonder, how am I supposed to use this command? Then you can watch this as cinema and you can see how it can be done. You have all the tools that you have learned. You have the guides here on dbwebb, and you have the whole internet to your help. And it's two-parted. The first part is to create the game. The second part is optional. Here's part 1 and here's part 2 is optional. It's a game loop where the structure of the game is a bit different. And you can watch here and see how it can be done. So, I'm going to show you how we use the server, and we're going to look at the API, and I'm going to show you some tricks to get you started with the assignment. Here we have all the commands that should work. Don't change the names, because I can't guess, or the person who's correcting the assignment can't guess which commands you want them to use. So use these. Yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna work straight up in the example folder, but you run this command so you copy the server files onto your course folder. Here we have the files. You don't have to worry about any one of these except for index.js. That's the file that starts the server. And I want to use tmax. Oh, I already have something on that port. What can that be? What do I have on that port? Now I'm freeing up the port. This is nothing you have to do. It's only here. Here we go. We start the server, and it says the main server is now listening on 1337, and that's the port number. And we're going to use the port number when we try to connect to the server, and we ask the server for some parts to help us move forward in the game. We use a command called curl. Curl tries to reach a URL like localhost 1337. For those of you who have done the first assignment, you recognize this structure and localhost. Everyone else, you don't have to understand it. Localhost is your computer, and the server is running on your computer. And the port number is which port the client wants to connect to. and it's on port 1337. If I just curl it like this, I get a response from the server, and I can see here that incoming route on just a slash is the root of the server. I'm gonna add, just for visual purpose, an echo empty, just so it ends up on a separate line, so we can see what's going on. The response we get is in JSON, and this response we have to save somewhere, because this game ID we get is different each time we initiate a new game. And if we look at the API, you have the link here. We can see which routes we're going to use and with what response we get from each route. So the first one is just a slash, that's init. This is mapped to the commands that it's gonna work. These commands. So the first one, init, that's the first one here. Okay. We can see an example call. It's just an empty slash. We can see which parameters that can be passed to it, and we can see what kind of response we get. And for those of you who have used JQ, it's probably easier to continue using JSON. I'm going to show you how we can use CSV files instead. And if we wanted, we can use this get parameter. It's a question mark, type equals CSV. Oh, let's try it out. Localhost on port 1337. Question mark, type equals CSV. CSV is a comma separated value file. And now we can see that it's the same response, but it's structured a bit different. Here we have the key, and here we have the value for that key. Another key, and the value for that key. So we have to use the game ID we get each time throughout the game. As we can see, if we go further down here to the next one, it's maps. Oh, here we don't need it. If we just call map, let's look how it's supposed to be. Map. We get a key and a value. Maze of Doom and small maze.json. It's two different maps. Maze of Doom is fairly big, and small maze just go down 2 times and you found the exit. The game it's sort of a maze. You enter one room, and from there you can move in different directions. And then you enter next room, and from there you can move some other directions. And you have gonna find the exit. Okay, we get a map. Next step is we're gonna select the map. Select a specific map by number. And by number is going to be implemented to work here. So here, from your script, you're gonna select 1 or 2, as you can see in the cinema here. And that number is connected to a name. And when you chooses the map, first you present for user how they can select the map. They press perhaps 2, enter, and then we can use the route here. Game ID, it's a colon before, so this is going to be switched to the real game ID, followed by a map, followed by colon map, the name of the map. We can see here the example call is easier. Game ID /map/ and then the name or the name with the file ending. And then we need the game ID. So if we're going to do this here in the terminal, we initiate a new game. We have the game ID. I copy that and then I look at the maps and I want to choose small maze perhaps. Then we're gonna use the game ID followed by map followed by small maze, and then the new map is selected. Okay, next, enter. I'm gonna enter the first room, and how do I do that? I go down and I can see it enters the maze and gets the content of the first room. It's game ID. Again, we need the same game ID followed by maze, the word. Let's try it. There we have the game ID followed by maze. Whoop, and here I get some description. And remember, it's the key, value, key, value, key, value. Ah, there's the value. I think if you know how to use JQ, the JSON structure is not... you know how JSON structure works, how it looks, and I think you can solve this fairly easy. If you don't want to use JQ, we can use cut, because for each curl we do to the server, you can save that output to a file. And if we look at the look in the beginning, we initiate a new game, we need to save this game ID because we need it all the way that we play the game. Luckily for us, curl has some options. -o output, and I want to save this to perhaps game ID.txt. Okay, I press enter. I don't get this response visible to the S3 out, but is redirected into a file called gameid.txt. So I have it here somewhere. There it is. I look in it and I can see the response. So with this option, I redirect the output to gameid.txt. But as you can see, I get some other output instead, which is fairly ugly and very unnecessary. I can add the option -s, which is silent. I get no output. But nevertheless, I get the new game ID from here. And from here I can use cut, not cut as in CAT, but cut as in CUT. I pipe it, so I open up the file and I redirect output into this cut command. I can set the delimiter. Where do I want to cut the output? And it's comma separated, so perhaps a comma. When I have cutted it like this, it's separated into rows and columns. So the first column is text followed by new game initialized, and that's the first field. So field 1. And from here, I want the field 2. I think. Yeah. I want game ID. F2, and then I pipe it again, and I can use tail. Some of these you used in one of the labs before. Tail 1. Then I get the bottom row, and I have the game ID. So this command we can use, save it to the file when you initiate a new game, and then you can get the game ID each time with this command. And perhaps load it into some variable with command substitution. And here you can cut the game ID, etc. Okay. Do it one step at a time. And take one command at a time. I think it's the easiest approach. Work in functions. And if we look here, we can see it's the same command, but with different directions. Perhaps we can use the same function. I don't know. Whatever we do in here, we get a response. Give this response to the user, so the user knows when he or she has entered a room or selected a new map. Use the key text to send out the message on what's going on. And when we move around in the maze, we get this response all the time. It's the current room ID. We have a description. Give this description to the user. And we have directions. If it is a minus or a hyphen, you can't go that way. If we have a number, then we can move in that direction. So we can go east in this example. And if we go east, we're gonna end up in the room with the ID 1. So when we move around, when we go down here, we move with this URL. We have the game ID /maze/room ID. And this variable is going to be changed, or this parameter is changed to an ID. And then we get a new response. Move around until you have found the exit. Then you can't move any further. Okay, use this API reference one step at a time. Look at the examples here, example code. Then you can see how it can look. Take one command at a time. They are structured in the same order as the API. Look at these cinemas, and you can see how it can look. And the part 2 is the same structure, but it's a game loop. So yeah, you can see how it is supposed to work. Validate and publish the code, and you're done. And this is the examination of the course as well. So when you've done it, you're done with the course. Okay, I think this wraps it up on how you get started. Control C if you want to quit the server. Great, let me know if you have any questions, or else I see you on Tuesday for a Zoom meeting, and that's the last Zoom for the course. Then we have Thursdays for questions, or like a lot of you already do, just ping me on Discord if you wonder anything. Whenever. Okay. Good luck with the assignment. See you on Tuesday. Bye bye.